Good evening, guys. I hope you're able to hear me. Hi, Usman. Nice to see you. So, if you're ready, just let me know. I can start up the class. Today, primarily the first class of your quality assurance. And what we're going to do today is primarily on what's testing, what are the types of testing, and what is the SDLC process. As part of your question and answer session, you could probably listen to my lecture on this particular topic called testing and types of testing, as well as on SDLC. And then if you have a question and answer session which needs to be taken care of, we'll do it at the end of the session, because I don't want to basically disturb others in terms of explaining you certain things in the middle of the session. It always becomes easier for you to and me also to for you to ask questions and for me to answer it at the end of it. If you have something to ask urgently, you could probably ask me through the chat, and I will be able to answer it as soon as possible during the session only. So can we start? So I could see I have a couple of persons out there like Hemant. Hi Hemant, Usman, Solomon. Hi guys. I can also see some other persons like your Surekha, Mohammed, Madhu. So hi guys, good evening. So we'll try to basically understand the concept of testing, and we'll start with your manual testing concepts in the first couple of classes, and then we move towards your automation life with Selenium, and then database testing and other steps required for the purpose of your training. So why testing, first of all? Now testing is basically done in two manners. One is you got to do testing for hardware like your ROM, your RAM, your visual display unit that you have in a computer, or you want to basically test a particular, let's say, hard disk. You do a hardware testing. Similarly, you have software testing, where you basically test the software that is developed for you for your usage. So what is the usage of, why do you need to do testing, first of all? Now this is a very kind of interesting question, because it drives down to the fact that testing is basically needed for the purpose of, so the objective of doing testing is to basically find bugs. Now when you say that you are basically, what is a bug by itself? Bug is something like you have an application in front of you, and the application has certain requirements. Okay. Now based on the requirements, the application is developed by the coding side, or rather by the developers. So when the application does not work according to the requirement document, okay, that's where we call it as a bug. So bug is nothing but an anomaly or a differentiation which comes out because it is not following the requirement specifications. Now what are these requirement specifications? Requirement specifications are nothing but your requirement documents. Now what are these requirement documents? You have something like your BRS, you have something like your SRS. Now what is the full form of BRS? BRS is your business requirement specification. SRS means what? Software requirement specifications. So primarily what happens is you have these requirement documents, like for example, if I take it, you have something known as BRS. If you can see my screen out here, you have something like your BRS, and then you have something like your SRS. Now, these basically are known as requirement documents, and these requirement documents are made by specific people, okay, which defines the requirements of the software that is supposed to get developed. So whenever you are testing any application, you have to rely on these requirement documents in order to test it. The main objective of testing is basically to find bugs. And that's a very, very normal term I'm telling you. In other words, testing can be also defined as testing an application to see that the application is adhering to the requirement documents. Now, what are these requirement documents? These are your requirement documents. These are your requirement docs. So your application that you are developing should follow these docs. If the docs are not being followed properly, that means the application is not developed properly, and that's where you get a bug. Now, who is the person who is trying to get this bug out? So the most important, one of the most important persons in the industry to get bugs is your testers. So that is what is the objective of a testing team is. So in other words, why do you want to basically find out if the requirements are adhered in the application that is being developed? You want to find bugs so that you can rectify those bugs before it is delivered to the client. Why you need to rectify your bugs before it is delivered to the client? Because you need to give a quality software to the client. That is why you need to test an application in order to check that it is adhering to the requirement documents. Why testing is done? Again, I'm telling you, basically to find bugs. Why bugs needs to be found out? Because the software that you are delivering to the client should be bug-free. Now, I cannot basically say that an application can be 100% bug-free. It is not possible for an application to be 100% bug-free. You will have bugs, but those bugs will not be important for the application's usage. Okay, so that is what testing is needed for. So let us go to the next slide right now. Next slide is the types of testing. So basically, when I take testing into consideration, I have two types. This is like your testing out here. Let me change the color of the pen. Choose pen color. Right. Yep. So let's say this is testing. So this is nothing but your software testing. Okay. Guys, I'm a bit slow because it becomes difficult to write down with this particular kind of pen given by this particular application. So anyway, this testing is divided into two types. One, you have static one. Okay. That's called static testing. Okay. And the other one is your dynamic testing. Dynamic. So what's the difference in static and dynamic? It's basically drilled down to the fact that the literal meaning of your static and dynamic. Dynamic is something which is moving. Okay, static is something which is basically in a standing position. It does not move. It's basically static at a particular place. Now, why testing is divided into two types, that is your static and dynamic. Static testing is a process in which you review the documents coming out of your testing, that you're carrying out. There are certain documents which comes out of your testing. Now, what are these documents? So docs coming out of testing, that's what I'm going to tell you that first. Docs that comes out of your testing. Out. This is very important because you need to understand now that you need to have certain documents of your testing also, irrespective of the fact that you are testing an application. So testing an application is fine. You are testing an application to check that the application developed is adhering to the documents or not. What kind of documents? Requirement documents. But there has to be some kind of proof that you have done testing, correct? It is irrelevant that you're testing an application, that's fine. But how would you basically have a proof that you've tested an application? For that, you have documents that is made when you do testing. So these are the documents which comes out of testing. So certain documents which comes out of your testing are your test strategy. So it's called test strategy. And once you make the test plan, so it goes in a very, very particular manner. You cannot make test plan before you make the test strategy document. So then you have the test plan document. After you make the test plan document, you have something known as your test design docs, test docs, TDDs. And after that, you have test reports, the question is why I'm basically telling you something on the documents that comes out of the testing phase, because the static testing is very much dependent, is a very important affair that is being carried out on these testing documents. So you have test reports and then you have final reports, FRs. So these are documents of your testing. Now in between your test design document and your test report, you have something known as your execution. That is called test execution. But that's not a document by itself. It's an execution carried out by the testers in order to test an application. So that's not a document by itself. So this particular portion comes in between your test design documents and your test reports. The test execution is carried out between test design documents and your test reports. And this is the portion in which you basically test an application. But that's not a document by itself. That is why I have not put it as part of your docs of your testing. So all these docs which comes out of your testing, starting with your test strategy and ending with your final reports, will have to go through a static testing process. Now what is a static testing process? Static testing process is a process in which you basically review or inspect or walk through the documents. Now, review means what, or walk through means what, inspection means what. Now, coming back to the terms of what do you mean by all these things, it's nothing but, for example, I have, as I told you, I have a test strategy document, TS. Now, once I have made the test strategy document, somebody is making it. So that is not relevant at this point of time who's going to make it. So when you basically make the test strategy document, somebody has to review that particular document. Why do you need to review a document? Because you need to see that the document called test strategy that is being made is following certain conditions that is set out for the application development, or condition that is set out for the application. Condition that is set out for the application means what? That means certain requirements that is specified in the requirement document. So definitely you need to basically refer the business requirement specification and the SRS specifications to make your test strategy document. Okay, so when you make the test strategy document, you're going to basically check out, or you're going to review that this test strategy document is correct or not. Is it following the BRS or the SRS? Is it according to what is required for the application that is getting tested? Is it understandable by the persons who will use this test strategy document for writing other documents of your testing or for the purpose of carrying out your execution? That's why it is very important that every document that is coming out of your testing goes for a review process. Okay, the review is a process in order to check that the document being made is adhering to certain parental documents. These are the parental documents for a test strategy document. Similarly, review is also a process to check that the document being made is a correct document by itself or not. Similarly, review is a process to check if that particular document under review, let's say test strategies under review, is being understood by the testing team or not. Is it understood by the development team or not? If it is not understood, you have certain other processes to change that particular document. So review is nothing but a process in order to check that that particular document is understandable by the testing team, by the development team, etc. Now, review can be of two types. The review can be of two types. One is a formal review. Actually, what do you mean by formal review? Formal review means you have a team, you have a review team that might consist of your developers or testers, or it can be developers and testers. And in a formal review process, you basically formulate the team and call for a team meeting to review the document. So for example, I have made the test strategy document. So I have made the test strategy document. I will basically call a review meeting. I will basically call a review meeting where I will send the invitation to come for a review of my document called test strategy, and I'll send this particular review meeting date and time to persons who belong to the review team. So what I will do, I will basically send a mail, a formal mail, requesting them to come for a review meeting to review my document that I have made. So along with the review mail that I send, I also send the document to be under review. Okay, so that's basically a formal review process. So basically in the formal review process, I officially send a mail to all the members of the review team who's going to review my test strategy document, for example. Similarly, I have an informal review process. I have an informal review process. In the informal review process, you are not supposed to officially have any kind of communication, either through emails or having an official meeting to review a particular document of testing. So for example, I have made the test strategy document. I don't need to basically send an invitation to the review team members, or I don't need to communicate to anybody in the review team members to review my document if I am doing a informal review. So that means who are the persons who are involved in an informal review? The persons who can be involved in my informal review can be my peers. Peers means my colleagues, or it can be my lead. It can be my lead. That means my project lead, or my test lead, or testing lead, or it can be the third person can be my team members. So these are the persons who you can informally call to review a document, team members. And in the informal review meeting, you don't need to have any kind of official communication, and you can start reviewing the document without any official communication. So it is always better that when you carry out a review process, you complete your informal review before you start your formal review. So I'm basically very clear in a particular front that review are of two types, formal review and informal review. In a formal review meeting, you basically send an invitation to the official members of the review team who will review your documents for the purpose of understanding the document, for the purpose of asking you questions in the review meeting, for the purpose of getting answers from you in the formal review meeting. Similarly, review can be also of informal type, where you don't need to send any meeting details or invitations to the review team. You can have a general review of the document informally with your peers, that is with your colleagues, with your project lead or with your team lead or with your test lead or with your team members. It is also good that you have the informal meeting first before you go for the formal meeting. So the necessity of carrying out review is basically to check the document being made, correct the document if it has some kind of problem, check that it is adhering to your parent documents because it is being written from your BRS or SRS or etc. Check that there is no anomaly in the understanding of the document. Review is also done to basically check that all the review team members are understanding the document and they're at the same page. So review is basically a part of your static testing. Okay. Similarly, from the test strategy document, so as I told you, from the test strategy document, you make the test plan, if you remember it. So this test plan will also go for a review. Okay, so in the review process, you go for an informal review or a formal review, as I explained you beforehand. So be it a test strategy document, be it a test plan document, be it a test design document, okay, be it a test report document, okay, or be it a final report document for testing, all these documents are going to go for a review process. This is important. And review care process will consist of informal review for these documents as well as for your formal review. As I told you, informal review should be done first. It is better to do informal review before you go for formal review process. So that's the factor. You need to go for a review process for all these documents which comes out of your testing phase. And if you see the arrow marks out here, the arrow marks basically depicts that this document is going to come only when this document is made, reviewed. Okay. Similarly, this document is going to come when this document is made and reviewed. Similarly, this document is going to come when this document is made and reviewed. The last important factor to carry out a review process is also to do baselining of the particular document. So you also do review to base document. Now baselining means something like your Bible. A Bible cannot be changed. Similarly, a Quran cannot be changed or Gita cannot be changed. So you basically make it into different languages with your different expressions, but the content of the Bible remains the same. Similarly, when you review a test strategy document, if the review of the document is over and it is accepted by the review team, you baseline that particular document. Baselining is a process to see that the document is Bibled so that it cannot be changed by everybody and anybody in the company. So even if the CEO of the company wants to change the baselined document, you cannot change it. You have to take a formal, requisition from the concerned team to change that particular document. So in the review, as I told you, you review the documents in order to check if the document is adhering to the requirement document, is it adhering to the to your requirements or not, or it is a correct document or not, any changes required or any questions being asked by the review team are answered, and then all these things are over, then you baseline the documents. So in this process, what you're going to do, you're going to review the test strategy document and going to baseline it. So after the baselining is over, nobody can change this document. So this becomes the reference document. The test strategy becomes the reference document to make the test plan document. Similarly, test plan will also go for a review process in which you basically call for a formal or an informal review process. You check that the test plan is according to the application that is getting developed. Then you check that there's no anomalies in the test plan document. Any review member has certain conditions or certain questions that has to be answered by the test plan document person who has made the test plan, and after that the test plan also goes for a baselining effect. So baselining is a process in which you freeze the document so that it cannot be changed by anybody in the organization. So after the baselining of the test plan, then you go for a test design document. So this also goes for a review process in which you review the document and then you baseline it. So after the TDD is baseline, then you go for a review of the test reports. That also gets reviewed, changes required done in the reports, and then it is baseline. This baseline report will be also taken as a reference material to make your final reports. So this is what a review would mean. So review is specifically done to check that the document is fine, it is according to the requirements, and it is according to what is required for the particular application under testing. And it is also done to basically do a baselining procedure. The procedure of baselining is nothing but you are accepting the document, getting it signed by the authorized person, and freezing the document so that nobody can change it in the organization. So, am I clear up till now? So next thing is your walkthrough. Now what is a walkthrough and how it is different from your review? Walkthrough is a process of static testing again, which is a type of review actually. So basically, if you take inspection and walkthrough, it is actually nothing but type of reviews. Type of reviews. So it's nothing but a type of review. Now, what is walkthrough? First of all, it's a type of review in which you walk through the application. For example, you made a document called, let's say, test strategy. So let me take test strategy only as an example. Now, you can walk through the test strategy document. Okay, how do you walk through? You basically get that document to be basically you place that particular document in front of the walkthrough team. The walkthrough team can consist of the testing team members, the development team members, or the client also. Now, why the client gets involved? If you have got an outsourced project from the client, then you have to also involve the client in order to do walkthrough. Walkthrough can happen on an everyday basis, okay, on a specific time. It can happen every day, it can happen twice a week, it can happen 7 days a week, it can happen, let's say, on a fortnight, it can happen in a month. But the time will be fixed, and you walk through the document to basically check how is the progress of the document. Okay, so it's a stepwise approach to see the progress of the document, like your test strategy. So let's say test strategy document is under development. It is under somebody is writing the test strategy document. Some guy is writing the test strategy document. So during the phase of his writing of the test strategy document, you walk through whatever you have completed. So what you do, as an author of the test strategy document, you will place it in front of the walkthrough team. And they will understand and try to understand or try to ask questions, and you need to give answers based on whatever you have completed in your test strategy document. Similarly, from the test strategy, you have a test plan document also. Now, this test plan would also go for a walkthrough, in which the author of the test plan document will place it on a specific date or a time prefixed to walk through the document. It can also involve the client apart from your testing team and development team. So in the walkthrough process, what will happen is whatever you have completed in your test plan, document, you need to basically make it understand with the team members, be it the client, be it the testing team members, or be the development team members. And they might have specific questions to be asked, they might have specific changes to be made, they might recommend some changes to be made. You discuss those changes, why it is required, and you walk through the particular document. So it's basically a type of review. Okay, so you are reviewing the document, okay, but not after the document is over. So the basic difference between walkthrough and review is that review is conducted when the document is completely made, when the doc is completely made. Completely So when the doc is completely made, then you go for the review process. For example, you have completely written the test strategy document, then you go for a review process. When you have completely made the test plan document, then you go for the review process. But let's say during the process of writing the test strategy document, you want to get it, you want to make it, you want to basically see what is the reaction of the team. So during the making of the test strategy document or during the making of the test plan document, you want to see the reaction of the team, then you go for a walkthrough. So in this walkthrough process, you don't require the whole document to be ready. A part of the document is ready. Let's say a part of the test strategy is ready. You can walk through the particular test strategy document, whatever has been made, whatever has been written down. So there, what you get is a kind of question and answer session in which people will try to understand whatever you have completed in terms of your test strategy or test plan, and they will also try to give you suggestions in order to understand and check and give you suggestions in order to see that it is adhering to the requirements. They will also give you suggestions to change certain portions of the test strategy or the test plan or the other documents that you have made. So the basic difference is that when you have completely made the document, you go for a review process. When it is under development, when the particular document is under development, you can go for a walkthrough. A walkthrough can be conducted on a specific date and time, which is prefixed. You don't have to tell or you don't have to request anybody or you have to send a reminder to anybody to go for a walkthrough meeting. Okay, so walkthrough is also part of your static testing where you are actually reviewing the documents, but you will be reviewing the documents when it is not completely ready. During the process in which it is being made, you are trying to review it or going through the process. Inspection. Now, let me come back to the inspection part. What is this inspection now? Inspection is nothing but a process in which you inspect the documents that you have made. Now, as I told you, review can be done only when the document is completely ready. Walkthrough can be conducted when the document is under the process of development. Okay, when you are making the document, during the making of the document, you go for a walkthrough. When the document is completely over, you go for a review. Inspection. This is also carried out when the document is completely over. So, well, let's say you have a test strategy document or a test plan document or a, let's say, sorry, or a test design document or a test report document or let's say a final report document. Okay, all these documents will go for an inspection or will go for an inspection only when all these documents are completely over first, or when the team wants a third party to inspect it. So inspection is nothing but a static testing process which is carried out by a third party company. And the third party company will carry out the inspection on a document which is completely over. Okay. Third point of your inspection is inspecting the document. So it's a part of your review again. So it's a type of review. The only difference between a review and inspection is review is carried out by the internal team members of the company in which the documents are made. So this will be carried out by the team members of the review team as part of your review process, whereas these documents, when completely ready, will be inspected by a third party, and these inspectors or this inspection company does not belong to the internal team members. They are third party members. So for example, Accenture wants to inspect the documents of testing. Okay, so there's the internal team of Accenture who will do a review, okay, of the documents, of the testing documents, or it can be a development document also. So let's say we are doing testing, so I will stick to testing. So let's say a review is being done by the internal team of Accenture for the testing documents. If they want, if Accenture wants, they might call a third-party inspection company to do inspections of these testing documents also. Now, why would an Accenture call a third-party company to inspect the documents? The reason being, they want to check that the document made have an unbiased approach while you make the documents. Because sometimes what happens is internal team members may be biased with somebody or with your team members, and it might basically create a problem later on for the testing process, because there is some bias on the documents. Something which has been accepted and written in the document which should not have been there, but accepted because of the biasness of the internal team members. So in order to remove any kind of biasness or fault in your documents that you are developing for testing, you call a third-party inspection company. So let's say Accenture wants to call, let's say, Capgemini to do a third-party inspection. So what will Capgemini will do? They will inspect all the testing documents in order to check that it is adhering to the requirements. They will inspect the document to check if there is a fault in the document or not. They will inspect the document to ask questions, and those questions should be answered by the internal team members logically. They will inspect to make the documents bias-free, so that the other documents, or so that the testing process becomes better, easier, and the testing reach its goal. Okay, so that is what inspection means. So inspection or walkthrough is a part of your review also. Okay, it's a type of review actually. So that is what you do in terms of your testing. So that's what you're supposed to do in your static testing process. In your static testing process, you are supposed to do inspection, you're supposed to do walkthrough, you're supposed to do review of the documents. First thing first, you first need to do walkthrough, because walkthrough is a process, as I told you, in which you review the documents during the process of making it. So you have to finish your walkthrough first, then you need to do review. Okay, so review is basically a process in which you review a document to check if there is any anomaly or not. So review will be always conducted after a document is completely made, and once the review is done, then you go for an inspection in the order in which I'm showing you. This is the way you can do your static testing. Now, calling a third party to do inspection is the prerogative of the company in which you are working. If the company wants to call a third party to do an inspection, if your company wants to do an inspection, they have to call a third party, and the third party will also do review of the documents that you have made as part of its inspection. So it is somebody who is inspecting the documents as a third party. That's why it is called inspection. In other words, these are actually nothing but types of review. Nothing but types of review. So that's what completes your static testing out here at this point of time. Next comes is your dynamic testing. So dynamic testing is nothing but you're testing the application actually in terms of executing and checking the application. So dynamic testing is divided into three parts. One is white box testing, second one is gray box testing, and third one is black box testing. Now what is a white box testing? Now please understand one particular thing, any application has to be coded first. After the coding is over, then you go for testing. So it's a process. So for example, what you need to do in a software organization in order to make an application, there's certain steps involved. So what is the step? First is that you have to get a project. After you get the project, you have to make requirements of the projects. You have to make what is needed in the application to be developed. That is called requirements. So what is the application requiring? How do you need to make the application? That is called requirements. So after you make the requirements, then you basically do what? You plan for the project. Planning is required for the purpose of what? Planning is required for the purpose of doing budgeting. Planning is required for the purpose of carrying out schedules of development and testing. And then planning is also done to check that the project is going in the right direction by managing it properly. That's what planning is meant for. Now after the planning is over, then you design. Now design is a process in which you design the documents, you design the application. Okay. Once you have finished design, you do coding, where you write codes. So application, when you want to make an application, you have to write codes. Codes can be your Microsoft.NET codes, codes can be your Java codes. You can use PHP also for coding the application. Once you finish the course, then you do testing. Okay. So testing is basically, as I told you, is nothing but to check if the application is adhering the requirements or not, or to basically find out. So another definition of testing is that you're trying to test an application to check if it has bugs or not. Bugs means it is not adhering to the requirements. That's what it means. Bug means that. And if there's a bug, the developer has to rectify the bug, and after rectification of the bug, the tester have to retest the application. So in terms of dynamic testing, the first thing that comes into the picture is your white box testing. So the white box testing is one of the parts of your dynamic testing. What do you do in white box testing? First of all, what do you do in white box testing? You test the codes. You are testing the codes. Now, how do you test the codes? There are certain procedures to test the codes. So what is part of your white box testing? You are testing the codes. Correct. Now, that's what you do. Who does it? Next question. So who does it means it will be done by somebody who has written the codes, because somebody who has written the codes would understand the logic of the codes, first of all, and the structure of the codes. So who has written the codes? Developers. Correct? So developers are the persons who would do white box testing. Please keep it in your head. That's very important. So now a question will arise to your mind is, boss, you are saying testing. How does developer comes in the picture? Now testing is done in two manners. You either test the codes or, so testing I would say would be done in two manners for your information. You can test the codes, test codes, or the other way is test the app, test the application. What is the difference? Testing code means the codes which are required to develop the application. So you are basically testing the codes which are developed to make the application. The other way is to test an application by itself. For example, if I have a Gmail application, so what do you do for Gmail? You log in, you check your emails, you basically compose an email or you reply to an email, or let's say you forward an email and then you log out. Do you see the codes of the application? You don't see it actually. So as a white box tester, okay, I'm not going to basically do a testing of Gmail by logging inside the Gmail, by writing an email and logging out. As a white box tester, I'm going to check what? I'm going to check the codes of the Gmail application and test it. So you understand what I'm trying to say. But as a black box tester, what I'm supposed to do? I'm supposed to log into the application and check if the login is happening properly. As a black box tester, I'm going to write an email after logging into the Gmail application and check that I'm able to compose an email or not. As a black box tester, I'm going to send that email and check that the email is sent or not. As a black box tester, I'm going to log out of Gmail and check that I have logged out of the Gmail application or not. So as a black box tester, I'm not testing the codes. I'm testing the application. But as a white box tester, I'm not testing the application, I'm testing the codes. So as a white box tester, I'm going to test the codes of the Gmail app. Whereas as a black box tester, I'm not testing the codes. I will test the application as it is used by a end user like you and me using a Gmail app. So dynamic testing is basically testing an application in certain manners. One is you can do dynamic testing in a white box approach, that is called white box testing. White box testing is a process in which you test the codes of the application. As I told you about Gmail app, as a white box tester, I will check the codes of the application. That is the codes of the Gmail application, for example. Similarly, if I am doing black box testing, that's part of your dynamic testing again. Black box testing is a process to test the application from an end user's perspective, like you and me using the application, and checking that the application is working fine according to what is defined in the requirement documents. That's your black box testing. Okay. Third part is your gray box testing. And that is why gray box is placed in the middle, because gray box testing is a combination of, it's equal to WBT, that is white box testing, plus black box testing. So a person who can basically understand usage of the application. So a person who can use a Gmail application, for example, and the same person who understands the codes of the Gmail application, okay, would be called as a gray box tester. So a gray box tester can basically test the codes as well as test the application from an end user's perspective, where you don't require to test the codes, you require to test the application as an end user. So a tester will be called as a gray box tester if he can test or she can test the codes as well as the application as a whole from the end user's perspective. So repeating it, dynamic testing is of three types: white box, gray box, black box. White box testing is nothing but testing the application codes. Okay. Gray box tester is somebody who can test the codes of the application as well test the application from an end user's perspective. For example, a Gmail app used by you and me. I don't see the codes. I will test the application to check if it is logging or not, if it is logging out or not. Can I compose the mail? Can I send the mail? That's basically a black box tester where I don't need the codes. Okay. Similarly, black box testing or tester is somebody who will not test the codes. He will only test the application from the end user perspective. Now there are other jargons or words also used by white box testing. White box testing is also known as open box testing. It is also known as glass box testing. Okay, these are different other jargons used for white box testing. Similarly, gray box testing is also known as opaque box testing. Sorry, not opaque, I'm sorry. Gray box testing is known as translucent box testing. Okay, whereas black box testing, there are other jargons used for it. Black box testing is also known as opaque box testing or closed box testing. Okay. So this white box, gray box, and black box are types of your dynamic testing. Okay. Whereas static testing is nothing but you carry out the review of the documents that you require for your testing process. What documents? You have a test strategy document. From test strategy, you make the test plan document. From test plan, you make the test design document. From test design, you make the test report document. Then you make the final reports. So all these documents will go for a review process. Inspection walkthrough is also part of your review process. Okay, walkthrough should be done first, followed by review, followed by inspection. Walkthrough, you can basically review a document during the process of making that particular document. Review should be done when the document is completely made and should be done by the internal team. Inspection should be also done when the complete documentation is finished. And inspection is always done by not by the internal team, but you call a third-party company to inspect your documents. Okay, so that's part of your types of testing. The types of testing is nothing but your static testing and dynamic testing. And static testing also divided into inspection, walkthrough, review. Dynamic testing is divided into white box, gray box, black box. Okay, so that's part of your types of testing and how it goes about. Okay. So what we have touched today is basically what is testing and what are the different types of testing. That's what we've covered today. The third part of your coverage, what we can cover today as part of your curriculum, is your software development life cycle. Now, the software development life cycle is a huge term by itself. Okay, and this software development life cycle, in short form, is known as SDLC. This is the heart and soul of any IT company. Okay, this is where the company belongs. This is where the company should work. This is where the company should follow the procedures that is defined in your software development life cycle. Now, the software development life cycle is nothing but it defines the life cycle of the development process. Now, in the life cycle of your development process, you also have testing inside. If you see the sixth phase of your software development life cycle is your testing. So testing is actually part of your SDLC. It's part of your SDLC. Okay, and any person working in the IT firm, be it a developer, be it a tester, be it an administration guy, be it a front-end office person, be it a finance guy belonging to an IT firm, should understand software development life cycle. If he or she does not understand software development life cycle, you won't be able to work in an IT firm, because this is where the heart and soul of the full IT company belongs to. Now, there are certain phases of your software development life cycle. What are these phases? You have inception of the project. You have a project inception, where what do you do in this particular phase? You try to get the project. Okay, that is called inception. Okay, how do you get a project? Then after you get the project, you have to get the requirements of the project. You have to understand the requirements of the project that you have got. After you have understood the requirements of the project, you need to do planning for the project. Planning means what? Planning means scheduling the project, budgeting for the project, Sorry guys, this application reacts like this, is a bit slow. Scheduling, so planning would require you to schedule for the project, budgeting for the project. It also involves management of the project. These are the three important terms of your planning: scheduling of the project, budgeting of the project, and management. How do you manage the project? That's your human resource management, that's your infrastructure management, that's your issue management. All three comes under the management term. Now, once you plan for the project, the next thing, that the fourth phase of your development life cycle, is your design, where you designed documents which are required for the application. So what kind of documents do you design in terms of your design phase? You are required to make a high-level design document. Then you are required to make a low-level design document, LLD, all short forms I'm giving you. And then you are required to make a IFD, interface design document. Interface design document. So these are the documents which you should have as part of your design phase. And these design documents are extensively used by the developers to code the application. Similarly, coding. That means here the developers will code the application, write codes for the application's development. Okay. And after the application is coded, the sixth phase of your development life cycle is testing. Okay, where you test the application. You would carry out static testing as well as dynamic testing as part of your testing phase out here. So whatever I have told you beforehand, static testing or dynamic testing, would be carried out in the testing phase of your development life cycle. Once your testing is over, then you release the application to the client, or you release the application to the market, and then if required, you're supposed to maintain the software. Maintain the software in terms of what? Maintain the software if there is a bug that is coming out after it is released, or if there is a modification required in the application after the release. Now, what is modification required in the application after release? Modification can be addition of a new functionality, okay, addition of a new functionality, or also known as addition of a new feature in the application rather, or subtraction of a feature, or rather subtraction of a functionality of the application. That's part of your maintenance. Maintenance would involve you to maintain the application after it is released to the market or released to the client, in order to see that if the bugs comes out after the release, you have to rectify it, or if there is an addition of a feature or a subtraction of the feature, you have to carry out as part of your maintenance. Okay, so this is the phase of your development life cycle. Okay, and what I'm basically going to do is I'm going to take the first phase of your development life cycle into consideration, because it is not that whatever I've told you is the end. I need to basically describe each and every phase very extensively so that you keep it in your head properly, because this is where the heart and soul of any IT firm lies. Let us take up the project inception right now. As I told you, inception is what? Inception means getting the project. How do you get the project? Okay. Now, for getting the project, you have to first understand what are the types of IT firms that are there in the market. So, IT firms are of two types. There are two types. One, you have a project-based company, project-based company. Project-based company. The other kind of IT firm is your product-based company. Now, what is the difference between a project-based company and a product-based company? A product-based company, example like your Microsoft, example like your McAfee, Adobe, they are product-based company. They make products internally and then the product is launched so that it can be bought by the end customers. That's a product-based company. So a product-based company makes products internally and sells it to the market directly, that is to the end customer directly. Whereas a project-based company would get an outsourced project from a client. So the difference lies in the fact that a project-based company would get outsourced project from the client, where a product-based company would make their own products internally and sell it to the customers directly. There's a major difference. So a project-based company is also known as service-oriented firm. Examples, you have Accenture, is a service-oriented firm or a project-based company. You have Capgemini, it's a service-oriented firm. And then you have Infosys, that's a service-oriented firm or a project-based company. You have Wipro, that is a project-based company. It's a service-oriented firm. These kind of companies like your Accenture, Capgemini gets projects from clients and they deliver the projects to these clients only. But a company like Microsoft, Adobe or McAfee or Kaspersky, okay, they make products internally and they don't sell it to the clients. They sell it to the end customer directly. Now, what is the difference between a client and an end customer? Client is somebody who is outsourcing the project. So, for example, I have Bank of America. They have, let's say, a particular application to be developed. Okay, so what they do, they basically hire a third-party company like Accenture or Capgemini to make the application, that is to develop the application. So that means what? The Bank of America is outsourcing the project to your Capgemini or to Accenture. But let's say Microsoft, they developed a lot of products like your operating systems, like your Office products, like your servers, and they make the products internally and then sell it to the end customer directly. Okay, that's the difference between a project-based company and a product-based company. Why it is relevant for you and why I'm telling you this? Because the inception, getting a project for a project-based company is different in comparison to a product-based firm. So let us take a project inspection as far as project-based company means. Project-based company, also known as service-oriented firm. Now, how do they get projects? First, that is the question. So what do? They will have their own sales guys or their own marketing guy who are scattered in different geographical locations. Now, these sales guys or marketing guys scattered over different geographical locations would try to tap IT managers or purchase managers of different companies who are willing to outsource the projects. So once they tap it, okay, then they basically give a presentation to that client and try to get some kind of impression with the client, try to give collaterals like the history of the company, like your profile of the company, all these things, and then get the projects. But as far as product-based companies go, the inception of a project for a product-based company is a bit different. Why it is different? Because it is selling the project, it is selling the application directly to the end customer. So they are making the product in-house. So in order to make the product in-house, they have to first do marketing survey. Why do you need to do a marketing survey to make a product? Because if you do not do a marketing survey, how will you understand your competitors? How would you understand what does the market need? What is the pulse of the market? That is why marketing survey is an important procedure for a product-based company to start a development of a product. So that is why marketing survey is an important term to understand the pulse of the market, to understand the competitors of the market who have similar kind of products in the market. For example, I want to make an office-based software. Let's say I want to make Word. Now, if I make Word, it is not going to sell. You have to market it properly. You have to make it properly. So first, you need to do a marketing survey of why people are using Microsoft Word. Why aren't they using any other software which acts like a Word software? So if, as a company like me, I'm a product-based company, for example, I want to make a software like Word, that product which is like Word has to be better than Word in terms of pricing and features, better than Word in terms of how you are marketing it. So for all these purposes like your marketing, to get the features, to get a competitor's feel, you do a marketing survey. This is how you conceptualize a product development. So marketing survey is an important thing in a product development company. So that is what a project inception means. In terms of project-based company, also known as service-oriented firm, or in terms of a product-based company. Okay. So I'm going to basically end out here. I'm going to take the other phases of the development lifecycle in the next class, like requirement management, planning, design, all those things later on. Now, I would like first to understand now, if you have any questions, you can ask me right now. Yeah, Hemant, tell me.
How many sessions are you planning to cover in for a Selenium?
Beg your pardon?
Are you able to hear?
Yeah, I'm able to hear.
Yeah. How many sessions are you planning to cover for a Selenium? Like, I just need to like outline like how many phases, like we have software development cycle. So how many phases of our training, like manual, automation, Selenium?
Manual. After manual, you will be taught Java, Selenium WebDriver framework, database testing, and projects. Then after that.
Okay. So total duration may be how long? 30 days, somewhere around.
It can be. It will be. It will be between 30 and 40 classes.
Okay, got it.
Hello. I'm not able to hear you, Anasha.
Hello, I just want to know the walkthrough, that portion I have missed it. Can you please repeat that one in that testing design? The walkthrough, what is the work of that one?
See, basically I told you there are certain documents of testing. One is your test strategy document.
Yep.
Now from the test strategy document, you make the test plan document. Okay. After the test plan document is made, you make the test design document. Okay. Now after you make the test design document, you make test reports. And after the test reports are made, you do a final reporting. Okay. In between your test design document and your test reports, you do the execution of test. You do test execution. But this is not a document by itself. That's why I have not shown you as a separate document. Documents are only test strategy, test plan, test design, test reports, and final reports. Now, these documents comes one after another. It is not that you have to first make the test plan and then you can make the test strategy. You have to first make the test strategy document and you have to refer the test strategy document to make your test plan. Similarly, if you want to make the test design document, you have to complete first these two. Then you only can make the test design document. So the dependency of one document is there with another. You want to make the test design, test plan document, you have to make the test strategy first. You have to make the test design document, you have to complete your test plan and test strategy. Similarly, you want to make the test reports. You have to finish your test execution. You have to make documents like your test design, test plan, and test strategy. So it's one and all connected with one another. So it's all in a process actually. And these documents would be going through two kinds of testing, as I told you. One is your static testing, and other one is your dynamic testing. All these will go for a static and dynamic. In the static testing part, as I told you, there are three types of static testing. So how do you do it? The question arises, how do you do static testing? You do it with review, walkthrough, and inspection. How do you do dynamic testing of these documents? You basically do dynamic testing of these documents by carrying out white box, black box, and gray box. White box means you are testing the application codes. Black box means you are testing the application from an end user perspective. Gray box is a combination of black box and white box. Okay, so if you are a tester and you can understand the coding structure and you understand the coding behavior, you can understand the coding logic, plus you can also understand the application usage as an end user, you can become a gray box tester. So is it clear right now, Anasha?
But something that we walk through the test, after that test design, what is walkthrough review?
Yeah, basically, see, static testing, as I told you, is static testing is a process which is conducted in three manners. One is review, one is walkthrough, and third is inspection. Review is nothing but a process in which you review these documents which are being made. Review for the purpose of what? To check the documents are correct or not, to check that the documents are adhering to the requirements or not, to check that the documents are understandable by the internal team or not, or to understand that the internal team has certain questions or not and answer those questions. So after the review, so the review is done for all these purposes. After the review is over, for a particular document like test strategy, you baseline the test strategy document. Similarly, you review the test plan document. So once you review the test plan document, it goes for a baselining effect again. Baselining is a process in which you freeze the document so that it cannot be changed by anybody. Okay. Similarly, you have a walkthrough. Now, walkthrough is also a review process, but walkthrough can be conducted while you are making the document. So the difference between review and walkthrough is that review has to be done when the document is completely made. This document is completely made or this document is completely made. But walkthrough can be conducted during the making of the document. Okay. In the walkthrough, basically you walk through whatever you have written down for the document and you try to understand is there any problem or not. And in the walkthrough meeting, you can call your clients also if the clients are involved in your walkthrough. Similarly, in inspection is also a review process, please understand it, but inspection is always carried out by a third party. It is not carried out by the internal team. Okay, an internal team will only do review and walkthrough, but an external team like your third party company will do inspection only. So it's something like that. An internal team can do review, walkthrough, but an external team like your third party would always do inspection. The second thing is that inspection is always carried out on those documents which are completely over. You cannot inspect a particular document which is half-hearted done. A half-hearted document can go for a walkthrough process, but a half-hearted document cannot go for a review process or an inspection process. Half-hearted means half-done documents. Okay. And I also told you that review can be formal or it can be informal. When you saw an informal review process, it means the review is done by your colleagues, that is by your peer, or by your team members or by your lead, where you don't need to officially call for a meeting for doing an informal review process. But in a formal review process, you need to basically, the author of the document, let's say I am the author of the test strategy document or I am the author of the test plan document, I have to formally send up an official communication to the review team, which may consist of developers or testers or your management, to come for the review meeting. And before the review meeting is conducted, you also have to send the copy of the document to those review members so that they can review it. And after reviewing, they will come out to the review meeting to ask you questions. Ask whom? The author of the questions. Why the questions being asked? Because they might have some kind of anomaly in understanding the document, or they want some kind of changes. So they will ask questions, and as an author of the document, you have to define the answers properly to make them understand why you are giving that answer. And once they are satisfied, they will basically shut down their questions. And then you can say that the formal review of the particular application is over, and then you can do a baselining procedure. The baselining procedure is always carried out after the review is complete for a particular document. Baselining is a process to freeze the document so that it cannot be changed by anybody. Even the CEO of the company can change it, cannot change it. Baseline is also a process to make understand that, oh, this particular, let's say, test strategy is baseline. Then I can use this particular test strategy document as the reference document to make my test plan. So baselining has two effects. One is freezing of the document so that it cannot be changed. Baselining also an effect in order to make you understand, oh, that means I can go and now make the other document. For example, let's say test strategy is baseline. I can use this baseline test strategy document to make my test plan because I need to refer test strategy to make my test plan. Similarly, I need to refer the test plan and the test strategy to make my test design document. So only when your test strategy gets baseline, your test plan gets baseline, you can start making the test design document. Similarly, test design document will also go for a review process. It will also go for a baselining effect. Once the test design document is baseline, then it can be taken as the reference document to make your test reports. So this will hold true also for your test reports as well as for your final reports. So am I clear, Anusha?
Yeah. Actually, I just want to know once more. Baseline needs to freeze a hello.
Yeah, baseline is to freeze a particular document.
And another one.
So that it cannot be changed by anybody. Another effect of your baseline is to make you understand, oh, this is being baseline. Let's say this is being baseline. I can take test strategy now. The baseline test strategy, I can take it to start developing my or making my test plan document. Similarly, test plan also gets baseline. Then this becomes a baseline test plan document to make my test design document. So baselining document is a document which cannot be changed by anybody. That is the freeze document. Second, it also becomes the reference document to come out with other documents of your testing. And all these documents of your testing which I am showing you are basically in a particular manner. You cannot make the test design document before. You have to first make the test strategy. Get it reviewed, get it baseline. After it is baseline, then you can start the test plan document. Get it reviewed, get it baseline. After it is baseline, then you can start the test design document. Then get it reviewed, get it baseline. This is how it goes.
Okay.
Yeah?
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks. Any other questions, guys?
Hi, this is Usman here. So I have some questions. First question is that we have some different kind of testing as well, like multi-testing, smoke testing, like that. So
yeah, so that I will take it out when I finish up your SDLC process. Those are basically part of your black box testing.
Yeah.
Different types of carrying out black box testing. So whatever you're saying, smoke testing, functionality testing, or your UI testing, or your usability testing,
yeah.
load testing, stress testing, volume testing are different types of black box testing. That will be taken on later on.
Okay, so the other question is that when we are doing, you say like during the walkthrough. So during the walkthrough, anyone can have the look at the strategy or test plan or something, or the other
Yeah. Anyone means walkthrough is basically a process in which you are reviewing the documents during the phase of the development of the document. For example, I have a half-hearted test plan. That means I have written the test plan not fully. Halfly I have written it. I can go for a walkthrough process, but I cannot go for a review process or a inspection process. because a review or an inspection will require the whole document to be over. If I have a half-developed document, I can go for a walkthrough. Walkthrough is also a review process by itself, but the walkthrough would not require any formal kind of invitation to the team members. You can walk through on a prefixed date and time and come out every day or twice a week or thrice a week or twice a month or twice a fortnight to understand what is being developed in terms of a particular document, what has been written, and if there is any anomaly, the members will raise the particular questions and the author of the document has to reply back to that. If there is a change in the document required by any team member, the team member has to define or suggest why the change is required, what is the necessity of that, and then the change would be made by the author if it is a logical change required, if it is a tangible change required. So a walkthrough is a process which can be done on an everyday basis on a prefixed time and date. It does not require any formal invitation to be sent. It's a type of review, definitely, but it can be done on a document which is half-heartedly done also. Let's say you have done only 25% of the document, let's say your test plan or your test strategy or your test design. You can do a walkthrough. Walkthrough can also involve your clients also if they are also part of your walkthrough team. Am I clear, Usman?
Yeah, you're clear. So the other question is that when we baseline the document, so
Yes.
Can author make the change in it if it's
No.
that?
No, a baseline document cannot be changed even by the CEO. Rest apart the author. Author is the author of the document, that's fine. But once the baseline has been done on the document,
I'm asking that can author can author make a change in it?
No. After the baseline is done, the author also cannot change it.
Okay. And
there is a process to change. That's called a change request process. I will take it later on when the time comes.
Okay. So
a baseline document can also be changed. A baseline document can also be changed, but that has to go through a separate process. That's called a change request process. I'll take it later on. But at this point of time, please understand it. Baselining means freezing of the documents. It cannot be changed by anybody, even the author.
Okay. So will you teach us how to make that test strategy?
I will share with you the contents of the test plan document. I can share with you certain examples of test plan.
So will you explain it how to make it? Not now.
Yeah. What is required is basically I will explain you each and every section of a test plan. If you understand the sections of your test plan correctly, then you will be able to make it yourself also. Plus, I will give you examples too.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Hi.
Hi, Solomon. I'm not able to hear you properly. Yeah, Solomon, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Connection.
Anybody else have questions?
Yes, Hemant, Madhu, Solomon, Surekha, Usman, are you all clear about this? Do you have any questions for the trainer?
I'm Surekha. I don't have any questions right now.
Okay, great.
I'm fine.
I also don't have any questions.
Okay, Solomon, are you there or?
Good.
Okay, great. I believe that's it for today. I will call you back later to discuss about the training. And for today, I think it's done, Kasik. I think we can wind up this.
Thanks, sir. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Thanks very
guys.
much.
Good evening.
Have a great weekend and a happy New Year.
You too.
Happy New Year to all of you.
Okay, thank you.